All right, buckle up, everybody. We're going on a road trip.
Oh, a road trip.
Not literally, no.
Oh, okay.
But we are taking a deep dive into all the essential English vocabulary and phrases you need to talk about road trips like a pro.
Sounds fun. I'm in.
Especially if you're, thinking about taking a cross-country adventure, or maybe just want to share some stories from your latest road trip and sound like you actually know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it makes sense. Being able to chat about road trips naturally is pretty important for anyone learning English, especially here in North America where road trips are like a national pastime.
Okay, so to really get into the nitty-gritty of road trip lingo, we've got some really cool source material that uses, get this, a dialogue.
A dialogue.
It's between a couple who are getting ready to hit the road.
Clever.
It's like we're eavesdropping on their pre-trip chaos.
I like that pre-trip chaos who hasn't been there.
Seriously, and that's what makes it so relatable.
And such a good way to learn because you're hearing the phrases used in a real-world situation.
Yeah.
You pick up on the nuances, the little things that a dictionary definition might miss.
So they kick things off with the phrase road trip itself.
Ah, the classic road trip.
It seems simple enough, but think about all the images it conjures up. Freedom, wide open spaces, adventure.
It's not just driving from point A to point B, it's a whole experience.
And that's why understanding these phrases in context is key.
Absolutely.
Like if you were to just directly translate road trip into another language,
Right.
it wouldn't necessarily carry the same cultural weight.
The same vibe.
Right. Then we hear the car's packed,
Ah.
which is like the official starting pistol for any road trip.
You know, that feeling of accomplishment.
Mixed with a slight tinge of panic. Did I forget something?
Like your toothbrush or your passport.
Yeah.
It's a ritual. Packing the car.
Transforming it from just a vehicle into your mobile home for the next however many days.
Everything you need crammed into that space.
And speaking of things you need, they mentioned packing munchies.
Oh, munchies. Essential road trip vocabulary.
I mean, is it even a road trip without snacks?
It's a deal breaker for me.
And munchies just highlights how important informal language is when you're talking about road trips.
Right. It's about being relaxed, comfortable, just having fun with your friends or family.
Before you even think about munchies, you got to fill up the tank.
Oh, yeah. Road trip 101.
Avoid running out of gas in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, especially if you're going somewhere remote.
It's not just practical advice, though,
It's also about being prepared.
which is a huge part of the road trip mindset.
Right. You're setting off on an adventure. You got to be ready for anything.
Speaking of being prepared, they use this phrase I love, we've got all our bases covered.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
It's like that feeling of, okay, snacks,
Check.
maps,
Check.
first aid kit,
Check, check, check.
playlist for every mood.
Cease.
You've thought of
I say
everything.
confidence, self-reliance, that's the road trip spirit.
You're in control. You've got this. But then 10 minutes into the trip,
Uh-oh.
the wife's like, I need a pit stop.
Classic.
It's so funny because it's so true. No matter how well you plan,
Something always comes up.
life happens.
And pit stop, such a great phrase.
So versatile.
It's not just about refueling the car, it's about taking care of yourself on the journey.
Like a little reminder that it's okay to pause, take a break, go with the flow.
Even on a road trip.
It's a microcosm of the whole road trip philosophy, flexibility, spontaneity.
Those unplanned moments, they often lead to the best stories.
Totally. It's the detours, the unexpected stops, the little mishaps that make the trip memorable.
They add color.
And that's what makes this source material so engaging.
It is.
It's not just teaching us vocabulary. It's giving us a glimpse into the heart of what makes road trips special.
The culture, the humor, the shared experiences.
They make those journeys so memorable.
So the road trip continues in our source material.
Oh, yeah.
And so does our language journey.
Okay, where are we headed next?
We encounter the phrase, let's get going.
Oh, let's get going. Classic.
Seems pretty simple, right?
Yeah, you use it all the time.
But the dialogue actually shows us how versatile it can be.
Really?
It's not always about physically starting a journey.
Oh, interesting.
It can be about starting any kind of action.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Give me an example.
Like instead of saying, let's start cooking dinner,
Yeah.
you could say, let's get cooking.
Oh, I see. It adds a little more ooh.
Exactly, a sense of momentum.
Like you're ready to dive in.
Ready to get things done.
Okay, and the dialogue gives us even more ways to say, let's get going.
They use phrases like, let's get cracking.
Let's get down to business.
It's like a whole toolkit for expressing that ready, set, go feeling.
I love it.
And it shows how you can take a simple phrase
Yeah.
and personalize it.
Make it your own.
Exactly.
Now, there's another part of this source material that I found super helpful.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
The section they call Fluency Builder.
Ah, yes. Fluency Builder. Love it.
It's all about taking common phrases
Right.
and making them sound more sophisticated.
Like you're leveling up your English.
Exactly.
So instead of it's ready,
Which is fine.
you could say it's all set.
That does sound smoother, more natural.
We're like a native speaker.
I'm all about those little tweaks that can make a big difference.
It's about mastering the nuances of the language.
Expressing yourself with style.
Absolutely.
But this deep dive isn't just about vocabulary and grammar, right?
Right.
One of the things that really stood out to me was how they incorporated personal anecdotes about road trips.
Yes, the stories.
It makes it so much more engaging.
It brings the language to life.
You hear about families driving hours to go camping,
Groups of friends on these spontaneous adventures.
couples reconnecting on scenic routes.
Yeah, it's like they're saying, hey, we've all been there.
We get it.
We know the joys and the challenges of a road trip.
And it makes the vocabulary feel more real, relatable.
It also shows how universal road trips are.
Yeah, no matter where you come from.
Or what language you speak.
There's something about hitting the open road that just appeals to us.
That sense of adventure and freedom.
Escaping the daily grind,
Exploring new places.
making memories,
And those memories are often tied to the conversations we have along the way.
the stories we share.
The laughter, the sing-alongs.
Speaking of stories, there was this one anecdote that really stuck with me.
Oh, yeah. Which one?
It was about this group of friends driving to Las Vegas.
Vegas, baby.
And the whole story had this electric energy.
Like you could feel the excitement through the speakers.
Exactly.
And it was a nice contrast to that story about the family taking a more laid-back road trip through the countryside.
Right. Showing that there's no one right way to experience a road trip.
It's all about finding what suits you.
What reflects your personality.
Exactly.
And that's what makes this deep dive so great.
I agree.
It's not just giving you a list of phrases.
It's giving you the tools
To express your own unique road trip experiences.
to share your stories, to connect with other travel enthusiasts.
And ultimately, to make those memories even more meaningful. This deep dive has been a blast.
It really has. We've covered so much ground.
From essential phrases to personal anecdotes.
We've really explored the language of road trips.
And those phrases, they're more than just words.
Right. They tap into a whole culture of adventure.
Freedom, self-reliance.
Like we've unlocked a secret code.
For understanding the spirit of road trips.
And now that you have that code,
it's time to use it.
think about the road trips you've taken.
Or the ones you dream of taking.
What phrases would you use to describe them?
Imagine telling a friend about that time you had to make an unexpected pit stop.
Because someone needed a milkshake.
Or recount a moment when you felt like you had all your bases covered.
Prepared for anything.
How would you capture that feeling of excitement when you set off on a new adventure?
Maybe with a, let's get going.
Or describe the camaraderie of a road trip with friends.
Using munchies and pit stops to paint a vivid picture.
Don't forget the power of personal stories.
They bring the language to life.
And make your conversations more captivating.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Into the world of road trip English.
we want to leave you with a challenge.
Take these phrases
These insights.
and make them your own.
Weave them into your conversation.
Your stories.
Their memories.
Let them become part of your language journey.
Because language is about connection.
Sharing experience.
Expressing ourselves authentically.
Who knows, maybe someday we'll cross paths on a real road trip.
And we can swap stories.
And travel tips.
All in fluent English.
Until then, happy travels.
And may your journeys be filled with adventure
Laughter.
and unforgettable memories.